We all know the stars of our favorite shows, but some actors in the background don't get the recognition they deserve. Hey everyone! Welcome back to another video on Celebrify. Today, we're looking at the most underrated actors in sitcoms. From their impressive comedic timing to their range of characters, these 5 actors have made a name for themselves in the sitcom world. So let's get right to it and take a look at our list for today's list. Let's get started. Number 5. Mrs. Richards for the TV show Fawlty Towers. Mrs. Richards, played by the ever-talented Joan Sanderson, was an unforgettable character in the classic British sitcom Fawlty Towers. Her role, brief though it was highly memorable and an early example of a convincing, caring character. The audience could not help but feel a deep sense of empathy for the poor staff at the Fawlty Towers who had to put up with her demanding and often unreasonable behavior. She was also selectively deaf, often choosing to ignore any conversations that she was not interested in having. This made for some hilarious yet heartwarming interactions between her and hotel owner Basil, John Cleese. Despite his best efforts to be polite, Basil was barely able to restrain himself from picking her out. He often resorted to sarcasm and quietly insulting her, providing some of the most memorable moments of the show. Number 4. Gareth Keenan for the TV show The Office UK. The character of Gareth Keenan was an integral part of Ricky Gervais' The Office. His unique combination of awkwardness, naivety, and delusional self-confidence made him the perfect foil to the show's other characters. Although his performance was largely overlooked compared to the stellar performances of David Brent and Tim Canterbury, Gareth was an indispensable part of the show's success. He was the ultimate nerd with his bizarre haircut and outdated views on everything from music to women. His enthusiasm for his job, no matter how mundane and boring it was admirable, and his loyalty to David Brent was unyielding. Gareth Keenan's performance in The Office was an essential part of the show's success. He was the perfect foil to David Brent and the other characters and was crucial in providing the show with some of its most memorable moments. Number 3. Stanley Cooper for the TV show Three's Company. The success of Three's Company can be attributed, in part, to the hilarious and witty Stanley Roper. While Richard Klein's Larry Dallas and Don Knotts' Ralph Furley received much of the show's glory, Norman Fell's portrayal of Stanley Roper was integral to the show's success. His unique jokes, his infectious smile, and his perfect comedic timing made him a fan favorite and a much-needed source of comedic relief. His jokes were often met with uproarious laughter from both the audience and the other characters. Stanley Roper was never shy to crack a joke, and his ability to make light of any situation made him a fan favorite. Needless to say, Norman Fell's portrayal of Stanley Roper in this TV show is a comedic masterpiece. Despite being overshadowed by the show's other secondary characters, Richard Klein's Larry Dallas and Don Knotts' Ralph Furley, Stanley Roper is far from forgettable. Number 2. Wanda Sykes for the TV show Curb Your Enthusiasm. Wanda Sykes is a comedy powerhouse. She's been on TV and in films for over 2 decades and is known for her bold and often outrageous humor. But her most memorable role is her 9-episode stint on Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm. As Larry's nemesis, Wanda Sykes brought a unique brand of comedy to the show. One of Wanda's most hilarious moments on the show was when she called out Larry for being a racist. She had a particular way of calling him out that was so funny and cringeworthy at the same time. It was one of the few times that Larry was put in his place, and it was all thanks to Wanda. Wanda's other scenes on the show were equally hilarious. She was able to make Larry uncomfortable and awkward in a way that was both comedic and endearing. The improvisational scenes between the two were so funny that the rest of the cast couldn't help but laugh out loud. Number 1. Reverend Jim Ignatowski for the TV show Taxi. Christopher Lloyd's portrayal of Jim Ignatowski in the 1970s sitcom Taxi was revolutionary, unique, and extremely funny. He took a character that could have been a stereotype of a drug-addicted taxi driver and turned him into a lovable, albeit slightly inappropriate, misfit. Lloyd's Ignatowski was an endearing character whose lack of memory and confusion about the world often resulted in hilarious rants. He would, for instance, ponder such questions as, if they call an orange an orange, then why don't we call a banana a yellow or an apple a red? Blueberries, I understand. But will someone explain gooseberries to me? Lloyd's portrayal of Ignatowski was something of a precursor to Kramer on Seinfeld, in the sense that he was always getting into some kind of outrageous situation. Lloyd was able to make the character funny, but also retain a certain level of likability. Lloyd's performance as Ignatowski won him a Primetime Emmy Award in 1983 and helped him become one of the most recognizable faces on television. We've just discussed some of the most underrated sitcom actors who have been in some of our favorite shows. Despite their lack of recognition, they have provided us with countless moments of laughter and joy. From the dry humor of John Cleese to the sass of Wanda Sykes, these actors have graced our television screens with their talent and charisma. So the next time you watch a sitcom, be sure to give a shout out to these underrated and talented actors. Until next time, bye.